Gentlemen, what brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
All right, everyone, this is Tim and Dom with NFL Talk from across the pond and back. Dom, better late than never. Glad you could show up. The hamsters, I think they survived in the pinwheel that powers Dom's internet over in the UK. I just assumed maybe it was also the snow. I saw that article about the revelers that got caught in a snowstorm and were stuck in a pub for a couple days. Like, that was really going to be some bad news. So, Dom, how the hell's it going? We're live on Twitter. Seeing if anybody out there. Seeing if anybody's watching, see what's going on. We're going to talk some NFL. We're going to talk some sports. We're going to talk, whatever the week was last week. And we're going to talk about the Washington football team beating the lovely Seattle Seahawks to jump into the wild card spot in the playoffs. All right, Dom, how are we doing today?
Yeah, fresh from the pub where I was snowed in. No, I wish. I wish I should be so lucky. No snow here. But there was an unfortunate couple from Dallas who flew in to watch a European football match this week, and it got postponed having arrived at the ground. It got called off. So that I'm having a better week than them. Well,
that's good. And yeah, that sounds like you're having a better week than them, especially if you went all the way to the UK and for something and it was done with. I want to jump right into this because I want to talk about the Washington football team. It aggravates the hell out of me. They beat the Seattle football team 17-15. They are now 5-6. Russell Wilson has lost 4 straight starts for the first time ever in his career. Giant fans are clamoring to get this quarterback who can opt out of his contract over here in 2022 or 2021. Washington football team seems to be doing this with mirrors because their defense is hurt. They have a quarterback which no one figured much of. At least I didn't. I made fun of him relentlessly when the Giants played him, Mr. Heineke. And somehow they pulled this win off. And I know Seattle's at 3. Well, at the time was 3-7, and they haven't been playing well. But I mean, did anyone foresee this or did you even foresee this of Washington having some type of resemblance of being a football team after the horrid start that they had?
No, I mean...
All right, let's move on to the next game then.
Yeah. Job done next game. But yeah, I mean, if you told me preseason they'd be 5-6, I think they're around maybe where they are, probably slightly on the underachieving. I thought they'd take the division this year. But with the issues they've had, you've got to give them credit to be 5-6. Beating Seattle, yeah, they're having a poor season. But even so, you had to give them props to that. And the defense stopped their run all day long. And Wilson, we know the quality that Wilson has, form is temporary, class is permanent. He remains class. I wonder whether he's struggling a little bit with, the line in front of him, but also that finger still, because he's not where he normally is. But I wouldn't be worrying about him long term.
Well, like I said, I'm not worried about him long term because I don't think he's going to be in Seattle long term. But
no,
I don't think he's going to be with the Giants either.
I mean, there is a little thing called the cap, which might be an issue.
Oh, my God. The salary cap does not exist. Do you not know this by now? It is a made-up, fictional thing like Joe Biden. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to get political there for a minute. But I do want to talk about another playoff team. Playoffs.
Are you kidding me?
the 49ers, 6-5, jumping into the playoff picture with their big win over the Vikings. We're also still kind of in the playoff picture, but they leapfrogged the Vikings for their 34-26 win. Another team left for dead not too long ago. To the merriment of some, we thought this was going to be a long season, and maybe we're going to see some Trey Lance and everything else going on. But again, another team rising, like the Lazarus man, rising from the dead. It's the fiery Phoenix. Jimmy Garoppolo, 17-26, 230, touchdown, interception, didn't have a great game. Eli Mitchell, 27, 133, and a touchdown. And Deebo Samuels, I watched this game, 6 carries, 66 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What the hell is even going on now? And what's in the water in San Francisco?
Bounce back ability, I believe they call it.
Okay, well, I'm going to need some of that.
Yeah. Look, what is it? Is it 5 in a row for them now? They've won.
Yeah.
They're on a roll, and Jimmy G is, he wasn't the star this week. I mean, they've reestablished their ground game. They're running teams into the ground, and that allows Jimmy to make the throws when he's asked to. And I think he's got a 90 passer rating for what that's worth for 5 games running now, having somewhat of a renaissance a little bit there, and maybe playing for that new contract or new team. I mean, the new contract's not coming in San Francisco, but a new contract and a new team maybe. But they're a quality outfit. They've got a good head coach who arguably could have been on the hot seat had things not turned around in recent weeks. And they've got a little bit healthier, and the quality is shining through, and they'll be breathing down the Rams next in that division.
They and the Rams, of course, who lost, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Who lost and was going to be the cream of the crop of the division, but the 49ers, who some thought this was a year for them to try to make the Super Bowl. And some were stunned by the drafting of Trey Lance because of the fact that they seem to be a win now team. And they are now, for some unknown godly reason, winning now.
Yeah, I mean, look, his way to beat him is stop the run and make Garoppolo throw it. But at the moment, when he's being asked to throw, he is.
He's making the plays. He's checking it twice. He's finding his receivers who have been naughty and nice. Just bringing in some Christmas cheer today.
You've only just finished Thanksgiving. You've got a few weeks to go.
December 1st is tomorrow.
Yeah.
I got the trees up. I'm getting the lights on the house.
You've got the giant reindeer.
I got the giant. No, I don't have a giant reindeer.
I thought you were competing with the man opposite that doesn't know he's competing.
I am, but the giant reindeers got sold. So to go and compete against him a little bit more, I went out and got 3 reindeers that were actually made completely out of wood. I'll have to send you a picture about that. But let's not talk about reindeer. Let's talk about another team that's having a renaissance, as you so eloquently put it. And I don't know what's going on over there. there must be something, an important message. Is it from the Queen?
We've not conversed recently, but I'll be having tea around Buckingham Palace tomorrow. So,
everybody knows that everyone in England knows the Queen. It's like a rule. I know it is. I know it's a rule. It's not a lie. It's a rule. But I want to talk about another team having. I want to talk about another team having a renaissance. The Miami Dolphins, 5-7, 33-10 over the Carolina Panthers. Oh, yikes. I mean, you left him for dead, Tua. I told you, don't sleep on Tua. I told you. 27-31, 230, a touchdown. Sitting there with Gaskin, I can't remember the kid's name, and Lindsey, running that ball, making them look bad. You even had another Phillips sighting over on defense. He had
three sacks for him, wasn't it?
3 sacks. Who's having his own renaissance. I don't know how you own renaissance when you're only a rookie, but it's another. I think we've talked about this now going 4 weeks back, and I warned everyone 4 weeks back. Do not sleep on this Miami team. They may not make the playoffs, but this is the team that you do not want to play if you have playoff aspirations, just as the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I did slag off Tua. I think I was saying that Miami didn't trust him rather than I didn't trust him.
You always try to backpedal.
But there are limitations to his game. If you are a Miami, I can understand the concerns about him. He doesn't have necessarily the biggest arm in the world. He's got the injury history back from college, which hasn't necessarily. I mean, he's had a couple of injuries, but they've not been the big ones that he got in college. So I can half understand it, but. He's playing out of his skin just now. He's playing to show them what he's got. And, I've agreed with your comment in the last few weeks that this is a team that no one wants to play. And had they found some form 1-2 weeks earlier, then they would be talking playoffs. And maybe they still sneak in. I suspect you're right, and they won't. But
they lost that bad Jacksonville. They lost that bad Jacksonville game, which they should have won. They had that early overtime loss in the beginning of the year, which another game they should have won. They could have 7 wins right now.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but yeah, absolutely. It's they're absolutely, could have been, were they 5-7? They could have been 7-5, just as easy. You're absolutely right, and they're a quality team. We were talking pre-season how the division would be tight with Bills, Pats, and Dolphins. I had Dolphins third, which looks like it's going to be right. But we're all saying they're going to be in and around the 10 wins, if somewhere around that mark. And that's still looking possible. I think Miami maybe 9, but I think it's the end of my bold prediction on the Panthers. My hot take on the Panthers. I think with McCaffrey limping out and Cam not being the man, which shouldn't be a surprise really. Given that he's been there 3 weeks or whatever it is, they came back down to earth this week, and I think
they crashed.
That is the end for their run. It's the end for their chances now.
Yeah, they crashed. Let's just say they crashed big time.
Yeah, I mean they're still in the hunt. The bold take could still come through, but it looks unlikely.
Let's just put it this way: the wheels didn't just fall off the bus; the whole bus fell off the bus. There is nothing left on the Panthers bus. I still
those cartoons are just there holding the steering wheel with nothing left over the cliff.
I said Cam Newton after the Giant preseason game that he was washed up. I still think he's washed up, but I also still think he's a better quarterback option than Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones, even being washed up. To me, there's different levels of laundry and washed up in this, and he's not on the oh my god dirty cycle yet. He's kind of on the a little bit dingy cycle, but he's getting pretty well. He's pretty well, he's pretty well cooked. So.
Yeah, it's the play style that he has as well, where it doesn't help his longevity either, right? As you're going to play that way, the older you get, the more difficult it becomes to sustain that. And the injuries haven't helped, and the fashion sense remains horrific.
It always has. We have to jump into the big game. The big game.
Pittsburgh?
The bigger game. The bigger game. The 4-7 Giants ripping them Eagles 5-7. Excuse me, 5-7 Eagles, 13-7. Wow. I've watched some bad football. And every week, I think when I watch the Giants, I cannot watch football that is any worse. This game was 3-0 at halftime. I had a subscriber, because I do another Giant channel, and we had a subscriber on the channel guess the score being 3-2. That was his final score. And at halftime, it was 3-0. I mean, Dom, I know as Giant fans, you want to get excited about your team. You want to get excited about a win, but this is probably one of the few wins I've ever been aggravated by. Because it was just such a horrid game. And if Philly doesn't drop the ball twice, they win the game in the last seconds. I mean, it's just, I feel bad for poor Jalen Hurts. He had this horrid game. He turns it on in the fourth quarter on that last drive. And the other Jalen, at the 1, the ball hits him in the hands and in the helmet. And before that, he had another bad drop. But some Giant fans extol this as a defensive struggle, a defensive battle. The secondary won this game. The defense was horrid. The Giants gave up 200 yards rushing on 33 carries. And I said this when I was watching the game. If you were an Eagle, I would never pass the ball. I would have ran the ball all day long. It would have been in the annals of NFL history, maybe back to the 20s when they didn't have the forward pass, to be the first team that a team never ran the ball in the modern era. Never threw the ball in the modern era. That's how bad this defense is against the run. But don't worry, the Giants are 4-7 and go in the playoffs.
I mean, I think you covered it. But I do think you missed out the crucial point here, which is the savior have cometh. Freddie Kitchens is calling the plays, and now our offense is going to be elite, and it scored 13 points. 13 points.
Well, technically they scored 7 because the kicker scored the other 6.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I mean, you're absolutely right. It was an absolutely horrific game to watch. But in fairness,
there's an in fairness.
In fairness. I know there is a silver lining here for the Giants. I mean, you're right. The secondary played very well. We couldn't play the rush again. I mean, are we 30th against the rush, and how we're not 32nd is beyond me.
But how do you give up 208 yards on 33 carries and win?
How did it take the Eagles so long to figure out run the ball?
I have no clue. But Giant fans celebrate this like it's the second coming of the '86 team.
We're going to beat Miami this week and go to the playoffs.
Oh God, we're going to get crushed by Miami. I think Miami's going to beat us 43-13, and then we go over to LA.
Because there won't be a problem there.
Oh no, we'll be fine against the Duck.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dolphins and Chargers, no problem. We'll be 6-7 in no time.
No time whatsoever.
Where's your sarcasm button?
Oh my God, I don't even know where the sarcasm button went.
Here's your silver lining, and I need to say a big thank you. We have found a quarterback.
Warning, sarcasm.
There you go.
There you go. I need it again because we found a quarterback that can win this game.
Warning, sarcasm. Warning, sarcasm.
His name is Jalen Hurts.
Sarcasm. Warning, sarcasm.
It's still funny, and I've talked about this with certain people, that I would take Jalen Hurts over Daniel Jones. And even after this game, I would still take Jalen Hurts over Daniel Jones.
We talked earlier, look, Wilson's not having the best of times at the moment, but that doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback. I mean, I don't think Jalen Hurts is an amazing quarterback. I think he's a poor starter. He's probably around his ceiling. Maybe I'm doing him a disservice, but what I do like is he's got something about him that the team will rally around, and he might have a bad game like this, but you're not worrying about him next week.
Right.
Whereas every time Daniel Jones gets the ball, you worry about him. Every time certain other quarterbacks around the league, you start to worry about him. You don't get that about Jalen Hurts. You sort of get the feeling that he's had a bad game and he'll bounce back next week and go, I'm just going to try again. He had that confidence. And, you've got to hand it to the Eagles this year. What are they? 5-7.
Yeah.
I think we might have said it last week. If not, we've said it in messages. Who had them going 5-7? I think.
I've said it a million times. I had them winning like 2 games.
Yeah, I think I had them 4 at the end of the season. Yeah. But they're at 5 already, and there's still 5 to play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean the Eagles. And it's funny because
they beat the Giants in the return game if that match is played.
Oh yeah, they're gonna get the Giants. They're gonna get whooped on in Philadelphia. And I laugh because the Eagles coach, he lost the press conference. Because that was always the thing with Joe Judge. He won the press conference.
The table.
What's that?
Yeah, but it's a special column in the table, so it's a tiebreaker.
Oh my! It's a tiebreaker. Well, you gotta like when it's a tiebreaker. Oh my God! There's my music just comes roaring in there. I don't know why my music's coming roaring in here today. I don't know what's going on.
We've not even gone long yet.
I know we haven't gone long yet, but that's different type of music is rocking and rolling in here. I don't know what's going on.
As Giants fans, it's fine if we go long because we've got a quarterback who's the best long ball passer, deep ball passer in the league with his 5 throws a season.
What's the funny thing about Daniel Jones? Freddie Kitchens is opening it up. Kenny G was supposed to be the primary focus, and the Giants focused on him 7 times this week.
5 more than last week.
But the issue with that is 3 of those throws were in the red zone. So within the field of play, getting to the red zone, they only targeted him 4 times all game. And 3 of them were bad red zone throws. Well, one of them was a really bad red zone throw from Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones throws it to his outside shoulder, it's a touchdown. He threw it to the inside shoulder, which allowed the defensive back to get position and then allowed them not to call a pass interference penalty. Just throwing that out there.
Which is more than DJ does. But there we go. But yeah, I mean, on the plus side, that division now becomes a little bit more exciting in terms of what happens in terms of closeness, but it's still not a good division. No, it is not a good division. The football gods, though, are kind of killing Giant fans because all the teams ahead of the Giants in reference to the playoffs won outside of the Eagles. So that kind of keeps them. They're still locked into 13th position. So I mean, it's just talking about another New York team, the Jets. Another big win over the Houston Texans. A 3-8 team. Well, excuse me, it was a 2-7 team against a 1-8 team. Actually, a 2-8 team battling it out for supremacy. 21-14. Another game that I could not watch. 14-24, 145 for Zach Wilson with the interception. Poor Zach Wilson, man. I miss Mike White already. I miss Joe Flacco. You did call it last week, though.
I did.
But he will be back. And look, The kid won the game, which is important for him.
I think throwing for 145 yards and 24 attempts.
They won in spite of him.
I think Telvin Coleman won the game.
I was going to say they won in spite of him, to be fair. But, 14 of 24, 145, no touchdowns, 1 interception is a cracking game. For someone who spent his whole time sulking because he wasn't number one.
Well, the biggest issue was no one else could play because both Flacco and Mike White were in the COVID protocol.
Yeah. And as it turned out, he couldn't play either.
Who's that?
What's his name?
Mike White.
Wilson couldn't play either. As it turned out.
You know what's funny. You know what's funny.
On the field.
I said this. I said this when Wilson got drafted. I didn't like Wilson at all, and I kind of think this is what he's going to be in the pros. I really do, and people are going to say, "Well, Tim, it's only like 4 or 5 games. This is way too early for you to make that type of assessment." No, it's if you watch him play and you watch his awareness in the pocket and his decision-making processes. And sometimes it's not even that it's a difficult read. He still makes the wrong read.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. If you take Trevor Lawrence and Wilson, and I think that's a fair comparator, they're the number 1 and 2 picks. Yeah. They are both on bad teams right now. Arguably, Wilson has more talent around him than Lawrence does.
Oh, God, yeah.
And Lawrence is looking inconsistent, but you can see the magic at times. Now, that's not to say Wilson hasn't ever had one good play or one good drive, but you see it far more often with Lawrence. That he's looking to take the right decision, the right read. Of course, as a rookie, he's making the wrong mistakes. But by and large, he's being, not entirely, but often when they don't complete, it's because it's been dropped or the play call's been wrong. Or,
right.
There are reasons behind it. Now, sometimes that is him, as I say. With Wilson, more often than not, it's the other way around. And this week, okay, you could possibly say you give him a little bit of a pass just off the injury, won't have had lots of time to prepare, blah, blah, blah. But he was playing the Texans, for crying out loud.
The 2-win Texans.
That's no disrespect to the Texans, but they're not a good team this year.
Well, I don't think it's a disrespect because I think they know they're not a good team.
Sorry?
I said I think they know they're not a good team.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be a surprise. And I thought they were going to win the game at one point. But there's talk this week, actually, about Robert Saleh being one and done. Do you think that's going to be the case?
I don't know. I
mean, you think that puts a GM on the hot seat as well, right?
Yeah, I don't. I honestly don't know. It's just a bad situation. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's just not good. It's just not good in Houston.
The arguments for him being one and done are actually quite sort of something you can sort of get behind, really, because he's a defensive coach and the defense isn't great. Okay, they've had some injuries. They've lost pretty much their entire edge rusher for the rushing presence for the season, but they're not great defensively, and he doesn't seem to have a connection with Wilson, and they have to make Wilson work. They have gone without a quarterback for so long.
Yeah, but then you're going to have people saying you cannot lose the continuity of having the relationship with the head coach, and you can't follow your head coach every year. I mean, you can see it now. I mean, it's not even like you can't even see it. You can't even see any of that, all that coming because that's exactly what they're going to go off of.
And you have the alternative argument is that, but I suspect they won't unless they're going to fire the GM and clean house completely. It's either Douglas and Saleh go, or I think they roll with it again next year and see what happens. But it's interesting that conversation is already happening, but we'll see what happens. But they remain a car crash.
Yeah, they are a car crash waiting. Another car crash who we probably should talk about. We talked about briefly for a second is the Jacksonville Jaguars losing to the Atlanta Falcons. And the Atlanta Falcons, I'm going to call them the Falcons because I hate them because they beat us. Did they beat us? I don't remember because so many people beat the Giants. Sorry. The 5-6 Atlanta Falcons against the 2-9 Jacksonville Jaguars. 21-14, another bad game. Just another bad game to watch. Trevor Lawrence, not good, not great, but to your point, he's more comfortable in the pocket. He has more, and he has no talent around him. He literally has no talent around him. But the kid was still 23 or 42 for 228, a touchdown and interception. He moves the ball between the 20s. He just has an issues at times into the red zone. Oh, my God. I mean, it's just the Falcons, they're on the cusp of the playoffs, but is there any aspirations? Who knows? Because, they just have – they're 5-6. They're kind of a blah team too. And I laugh because their big addition, Kyle Pitts, who everyone was extolling the virtues, who was going to be the greatest tight end in the history of the world, 2 catches for 26 yards against a bad Jacksonville Jaguar defense. And honestly, if you take away his 2 games, which were against the Jets and the Dolphins, where he had almost 400 yards, he would only have 200 yards on the season, because he's got 600 now. But you subtract those 2 games, he would only have 200 plus yards. I mean, I thought he was revolutionizing the position.
I mean, you're right. I mean, you can't take out 2 games, right? You can't do that. But
I can do whatever the hell I want to do.
But
that's the beauty of me.
But you also have to then look at it and go, actually, if you do take out those, you try kind of, that's probably will tell more of a story, because we can all have a good game every now and again. I do think he's going to be a very good tight end.
Let me break this down for you, because we subtracted the 2 games. 26, 29, 60, 60, 13, 50, 35, 70, 31. Oh my God. He's the greatest tight end since Dick Butkus, or excuse me, from Mike Ditka. I think Dick Butkus would have been a better tight end. Oh my God, he's Jeremy Shockey, he's Mark Bavaro, all rolled up into one.
Would you take him over our Pro Bowl tight end though?
They're honestly right now to me they're pretty much both on the same caliber, him and Evan Ingram, because Evan Ingram, you know what you get. Kyle Pitts, who's on a team in Atlanta who is devoid, outside of one wide receiver, is devoid of receiving or skill player talent, and he is only getting 2 to 4 receptions a game. Yeah,
I mean, you're kind of half making the next point I was going to make is I think I think he's obviously not done what everyone thought he was going to do this year, but I wonder what will happen if you put a bit more around him. Like, he's got a quarterback that can find him in Matt Ryan. I did say whether they should have looked to draft their future and go for the rebuild now, bearing in mind where they are, and sort of try and do that. But that wasn't a knock on Matt Ryan.
I have a question though for you.
But just
this is kind of falling into everything we're talking about.
Go on.
Here's the big question for you. He was this receiving god over at Florida, this playmaker, this Adonis of the football. What do you think, or what do you think his longest reception of the year is?
Oh, I don't know, but probably under 15 yards.
30 yards.
Oh, 30, he's had a 30 yards.
30 yards is his longest reception for a guy that's supposed to revolutionize and I said this before, every tight end comes out as revolutionizing position. Poor Eric Ebron, when he came out years ago, was going to revolutionize the position. And then what's that, like a Hockenberry, whatever he is, that went to Detroit. He was going to revolutionize the position. Then the other guy was going to revolutionize the position. I said this before, and I'm going to stick to it. Kyle Pitts, to me, is going to be a good tight end, not a special tight end. He's not going to be a Kevin Winslow, senior, not junior. He's not going to be that guy that's going to revolutionize the position, because of the fact that I've said this millions of times. You're in the pros now. Guys are all big, strong, and fast. When you're playing in college during a COVID year, you are going to find out that you're above their talent. But once you get the pros, you're not that far above anyone talent-wise.
And that may well come to pass, right? But I think it'd be interesting to see what happens as he goes forward. But I think Rob Gronkowski will be delighted every year when someone says they're going to revolutionise the position, and he just keeps doing what he does down in Tampa. But
he just does what he does. He does what he does.
But I do wonder what happens if you put a couple of other pieces around him, and therefore he's not the one that's in. And I didn't watch this game, so maybe I'm wrong. But I would imagine he was in double coverage most of the time. Was he not?
No.
I mean, I just assumed he was. As I say, I couldn't bring myself to watch this one at all. But you
have to remember that
he's not going to revolutionise the position, though.
That what's his name was out of this game. This is kind of why I'm bringing up the point. What's the kid's name? Their receiver, their big receiver, Roddy White. Yeah, he was out this game. He didn't even play. Russell Gage led the team with 6 receptions for 62 yards. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. You now don't even have your starting primary receiver. You would think that Russell Gage, who I have no idea who the hell he is, would not be targeted more than the all-star, all-pro Adonis tight end from Florida. Just throwing that out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, as I say, we'll see. I don't. Look, he's not going to revolutionise the position. I think we probably both agreed on that earlier in the year. But I think it's too early to say that he's. I think he won't be worse than you say.
No, I'm not saying he's going to be. I'm not saying he's going to be a bum.
I don't think he's going to be worse than that.
I said he's going to be a good tight end.
I think that's his floor, right? It's not going to cut. It's not going to be below that. But I still think he could be above that. But we'll have to wait and see. There. But as I say, I didn't know if he was in double coverage. I assumed he was, given the numbers around him in that game, because, as you say, there was no one else to throw to. So the logical place to throw it, if you're throwing it, is to him. But you've also got to, by the way, on the other side, you've got to hand it to Cordell Patterson for yet another great running game. And I think he's a free agent this year as well. So that could be interesting.
He was a free agent last year too.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do this year if more teams come sniffing around him, or whether this is.
What's funny is he's heading into his 30s. Patterson. He's been around for a while.
Yeah, but he's having a really good season. He's having the Falcons try and bring him back, because I imagine he's now going to demand more money than he's possibly worth.
Well, and today, kiddies, we're having a new word. He's having a renaissance.
I was going to say, have you been sort of thumbing through the thesaurus and having a look for sort of or words of the day, or
no? You're the one that brought off you're the one that brought up the Renaissance. You don't even remember bringing up the Renaissance.
No, I was too busy thinking about having tea with the Queen tomorrow.
Having tea with the Queen, you know what you need to discuss? You need to discuss the 28-13 win of the Denver Broncos over the Los Angeles Chargers. Oh, this is interesting because the Giants will be playing the Chargers in 2 weeks. The Broncos 6-5, kind of a tweener team. You don't know what they are. You don't know what they're not. Drew Lock even had to come into this game. But you know what?
There's a slight difference between him and Teddy when Teddy was
slightly different. That's why they ran the ball 497 times when Bridgewater went out. You worry about the Chargers a little bit. The Duck went 28-44 for 303, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. For Daniel, also went for 4 carries, 36 yards. For Daniel Jones, that would be a career day. But he's got a little bit of an interception bugaboo working on him right now. And I'm not going to say it's concerning, because it is his second season and he's still learning. But from a guy that had such a renaissance, no, I can't. For a guy that came into the league with all the pomp and circumstance that he did and how he played, I mean, he's not having a horrid season. He's got 24 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, but he had 10 interceptions all last year in 15 games.
Yeah, there are a plethora of other words that you could use instead of Renaissance, but
I like Renaissance now. That's going to be the word of the day, kiddies.
Your own favorite word back at you, But look, Herbert last year when he came out, I will sit here and own that. I was like, I'm not convinced. I think he is the real deal.
He's definitely the real deal.
Plus 300 yards 14 times in 1.5 seasons, 17 times 2+ touchdowns, in a season and a half. The guy can play, and I think the future's bright for the Chargers. I did feel this was one season too early, and I stand by that. I think next year they really could go places. I really do. I do. But it's almost like he's trying to do too much. It's like the team's struggling, and he's going, right, I'm gonna show you guys how good I am, and I'm gonna lead this team, and I'm gonna put you all on my back. And I think probably if he just took a step back and took the pressure off, I wonder whether he might cut out those interceptions. I mean, I don't know, but that would be sort of my sort of theory behind it. The Broncos, I don't really care about the Broncos, to be honest. But fair play to them, 6-5. I didn't really know what to think of them coming in. They were just running their team.
It's funny though. This is funny, and this is how fickled we are as fans, and fickled some people are in reference, not us, because we're just awesome, in regards to statistical data and how a quarterback plays. I want to point a couple things out right now. Herbert last year completed 66% of his passes. This year he's completing 65.98. He had 4,300 yards in 20 games. He's already got 3,200 yards, and he's got 7 games left. He's got 6 games left. His average per completion last year was 7.3. This year it's 7.4. His longest touchdown last year was 72 yards. His longest one this year is 72. He's had 31 touchdowns in 15 games. He's got 24, so he's going to exceed that.
Yeah.
You look at his passer rating. His passer rating was 98.3 to 96.5. He's already rushed for more yards and he did last year. He had 234 all year. He's got 243 with 2 touchdowns. So I laugh when we say a guy's having a bad season, where statistically, outside of his interceptions, he's going to eclipse every one of his stats from last year. We would salivate if this was Daniel Jones.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think either of us is saying he's having a bad season.
No.
What he is probably the expectation rose, and he hasn't necessarily got to that. But I don't. He's also on his second head coach and all of that. I don't always buy that, but I think he's the future, and I think the Chargers are going to be a team to look out for next year. I really do. I'm gonna lay that marker down now. The guy can play, and it's just like I said. I think the interceptions are coming as a result of him almost trying to push it too far when he doesn't have to.
Oh yeah, he's trying to thread the needle a little bit on some of these throws because he's thinking that he has to make the plays. But
that will come.
I just find it funny though that I'm saying it's not us, but there are plenty of people that are actually in the industry, or even talking heads on radio or in television that look at and say, "Well, Herbert's having a bad year." And it's like you look at it statistically, he's actually having a better year.
Yeah, and look, we all get, I've been guilty of it a couple of times where recency bias. I do try and stay roughly where I am unless the evidence changes. But even sometimes you can get caught up in a narrative or in a performance. We're going back to the Vikings. I've heard people saying this week about the Vikings. Same old Vikings. They lost the close game. Well, they just won two close games 2 weeks running.
Right.
Give them a break. It's like you just lost one close game. Same old Vikings. Now, I did say, have they turned the corner? Have they not? I want to see it more consistently before I believe that. But you can see how that is an example of a recency bias, which we can all be capable, sort of fall into trap of. But Herbert's a real deal. No. And we're both in agreement on that.
Here's a real deal, and interesting enough, let's get into a game that is probably a real deal. It's the 8th.
Is it a tan bloke that sells antiques? People in the UK will know. David Dickinson, is that who we're going to talk about next?
That's who we're going to talk about next. For
those that don't know, he was a sort of daytime antiques television program where you won 30 quid or something if you were lucky enough to sell something at auction. But he was more orange than your chair.
Way to bring down the whole show. Hey, is there anything else you want to talk about that could literally just bring down the whole show to a screeching halt? Anything else? Anything?
No,
Bueller?
I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
We want to talk about the New England Patriots 36-13 win over the Tennessee Titans. This game is kind of surprising to me in a couple regards. Tennessee, of course, is out without their star running back. Hillard runs 12 times for 131. Foreman runs 19 times for 109. They rush for over 200 yards. And another one of these games, they rush for over 200 yards and they lose. It's the Mac Jones. It's the Mac Jones show. What's that?
They lost bad and all.
This game was 16-13 going into halftime. And then it was a 20-point explosion over the 2 quarters by the Pats. Mac Jones, 23 of 32, 310, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the defense played well. Except for against the run. The whole bend not break scenario. I mean, you got to give it to the Belichick, man. He went, and this quarterback may not fit in any other system outside of New England, but he's got his man. He's got his young Tom Brady. He's got him at 8-4, and he's got a 36-13 win. Oh, he's got a 36-13 win over a good Tennessee team.
Yeah, it's a beat up Tennessee team, but it's still a good Tennessee.
It's still a good Tennessee. Next man up. Yeah,
8-4. Look, I mean, I was watching this game and I texted the King of Idiots. I was like, the sort of I think it was Hillard on the run, and they managed to knock the ball out of his hands and get the turnover. I think it was late in the second quarter. I can't quite remember exactly what point of the game it was in, but they made a 29 yard run, if not a bit more, and that play happened. And you just felt all momentum shift at that point. And from then on in, I just never felt New England. I think they went, having got the ball, they only got a field goal on the drive, but you just felt momentum shift.
Yep.
And straight away I messaged him, and that came to pass, and that defense is standing up, and you look at that team and you think the special teams is talented. The offense, they can run. They can move the chains. The defense it can rush. It can protect against the pass. It didn't protect against the run today, but it's still a good defense. I think it's third in the league for takeaways this year. The only thing they can't do, in my view, is throw the ball deep downfield quick to get a quick score if they need to. But otherwise, I think everything's there. And we said at the time, Mac Jones was the least talented of the five, but he landed in the best position, and he landed at a team that gives him the best chance of success.
He landed in an area where you knew he was going to. Like I said, the Belichick got his quarterback. He didn't he was stuck with Cam Newton for a while, but he literally got his quarterback now, and that's a little bit scary.
Yeah, are you buying this? They're now the favourites from the AFC.
No, because
I'm not quite buying that yet either.
Let's see how they finish out the season. Rookies sometimes hit a wall, so let's just kind of wait and see how they finish this out, how it plays out for them, and we can get a better idea or understanding of what this team is. But I'm not anointing them, the best in the AFC just yet.
No,
we have to kind of just wait and see a little bit.
I agree. I think they finish the regular season strong. I think it'll be interesting to see what they do when they go into the postseason, when the pressure sort of is a little bit different, particularly on your young quarterback. But he's got the master behind him, so
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
the evil emperor is there. Don't
worry about me.
To help him through.
I'm answering an email. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me.
I have your attention.
I have your full attention. So what were you saying? What were you saying about Tom Brady?
I was just saying how he is really enjoying life still in New England in an alternative universe.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
Oh no. We know what time that is. We have an idea what time that is. Do we have no idea what time that is? Or I have another effect.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
It's the big dog coming out to eat. It's the Dominator. It's the guy that, when we close out this show, has the point of views that just keeps people smiling. It keeps people on pins and needles, keeps people waiting for expectation. And I'm not talking Great Expectations, the novel. I'm talking Dom giving us his thoughts.
I had Great Expectations. I was forced to read it.
So was I.
Yeah.
I think we all were.
Oh, God. I mean, it was not fun. Anyway, I don't have a point of view, but I do have a question for you.
You don't have a point of view. Well, Dom, after that freaking build-up, I thought you would have had something.
But no, I have a question for you.
Okay, actually, I like questions.
I think it's quite... it's not totally NFL. It's back to the college game. There's obviously been a lot of talk with a lot of sackings and movings on in the college game at head coach level. Lincoln Riley obviously taking the big job at was it USC?
Yes, USC.
Not LSU. I couldn't quite remember.
No, Brian Kelly from Notre Dame went to UCLA. Or not UCLA, USC.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and it's causing quite a stir. I mean, I'm sort of aware of what's going on slightly in the college game, but not as close to you as it's you. But what do you think the consequences are of that? I mean, what for Lincoln Riley? If he has aspirations to be an NFL coach, is this the right move for him, or does he just want to be?
I think he just wants to. I think he just wants to be a college guy. I don't think. I don't think he has any aspirations. I really do think he just wants to be a college guy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I think Urban Meyer is more pissed because they took his job.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one he seemed to be holding out for. But what's the impact you think on the college game now? And how do you think that will? I don't think there's
any impact. No, I mean, in college you got over 144 Division I teams. So I mean, there's not that are somewhat in contention for something every year. So I mean, they got themselves a good coach. I mean, and USC got themselves someone they wanted. LSU got someone they wanted. No, the only people that get screwed is the teams that they're leaving and the kids that they had signed as freshmen. So but I mean, beyond that, it's not like it's I don't think there's any detriment to it. And I don't think it really changes the landscape. The thing with Lincoln Riley is he went to USC because of the fact that he's going to get an opportunity to win, and he's going to get an opportunity to win in a much weaker division. So he will be more successful there than he ever was before because of the fact that he doesn't have to compete against top tier teams. And trust me, USC is a top tier program, but they're not in the top tier. They're not in the top tier division.
Yeah, the equivalent of, I'm slightly disparaging here, but the sort of the Patriots, part of their success was the fact they were in a bad division constantly and therefore always won it and were number one. It's sort of the college equivalent, if you like.
Right. Well, I'm
slightly oversimplifying.
I know, but I'm just trying to think because, like I said, it's just more, and there's a higher competition level where he's coming from to where he's going. And I think that's more of the aspect, and he's gonna have less competition for top flight in state talent. So I mean, like I said, it's I think the loser out of all this is Urban Meyer. Well, actually, no, because the Notre Dame job's up.
And I mean, I think you're right. I think Urban Meyer will go back to the college game, if not this at the end of the season, certainly next. But do you think some of these guys will follow him to USC? Because obviously, it's as I understand, it's easier to switch colleges than it is obviously to get the trade in the NFL that you need.
Well, actually, it's actually not easier to switch colleges. It's actually harder to switch colleges because what happens is when you switch a college, unless you're a freshman, you have to sit out a year if you move to another school. So you would literally have to sit out one season if you let's say he's got a junior or let's say he's got a sophomore that or even a freshman who played for him this year. If they decide they want to go over to USC, they got to sit out a year. At college, I mean, with the NCCA and you know what I'm talking about. Their eligibility rules is you got to sit out a season unless you're an incoming freshman and you signed because of the head coach. Then you can rescind your acceptance. But if you're a player, the rules state that you have to sit out one season if you change schools, unless, of course, you have already graduated. If you've already graduated, then you can go to any school you want, and then you just pretend you're going to get your master's.
Fine, yeah. That makes sense. Like I say, I was interested. It was making a lot of sort of headlines this week, and I was interested in what the potential ramifications of it were.
I think it's funny that we joke about Urban Meyer, and I kind of have a story because of the fact that as most people know, I worked certain periods of time in the NFL, and one team that I worked for in 2006 was the Dolphins, which happened to be Nick Saban's last year. And I think everyone in the building, and I barely met Nick. I think I met Nick twice for what my role was in the entire time I was there. But I think the thought process was after he finished 6-10 and his first losing season as a head coach that he was going back to college. I mean, he was going back to college. And I kind of have this feeling that Urban's going to be the same way. That Urban's going to turn around and be like, screw this, man. I could go to college and work half the year, and I got a ton of assistants, that they're going to do the work for me. And I got a ton of these guys. I'm only going to have to go out and see the top recruits. So everyone I thought that Nick was going to leave. He went 9-7 the first year, and I came in the last year, so he went 6-10, which I find interesting because the last season I was in Tampa, they were like 5-11. So maybe it wasn't the team, maybe it was me.
I was going to say, you came in after their success.
I came in the year following the Super Bowl. And then they went like 7-9 and 5-11. So I'm actually thinking maybe I didn't do a very good job. And I drove Nick Saban out. Oh my God. I never really thought of this.
It's all your fault. Tampa Bay fans, get your letters of complaint in now.
Tampa Bay and Miami Dolphin fans just do it. But I see him going back to where, I mean, Steve Spurrier, who left Florida to take the Washington job, he even said it when he was the head coach that, he would play golf more or less every other day or every day in Florida when he was the head coach at Florida and, winning national championships. And he actually had to work in the pros. And that's why he stayed for a short period of time and went back to South Carolina.
If you can earn the same or similar money and work half as hard, why would you do it?
It's a lifestyle thing. And that's what it is. And it's funny because I've met Steve Spurrier a couple times, and he's just a big guy with a nice Southern drawl. Former quarterback, former first round pick, and you could see he's just a relaxed guy. That's all he is, and that's what he wanted to get back to in college.
And you can't blame him for that. You can't blame him for that. But that is all she wrote from me this week. But I was just really interested in that because say following the college game over here is much more challenging than it is in the States. So that was certainly interesting for me, and we'll see how he does. I mean, people are saying it will take him a year and a half, and then that team will be.
Oh yeah, they'll be good. Like I said, he will get the in-state talent because there's really, outside of UCLA, what's there? What's there in California? And California's got a good pool, and he's going to pull some kids from Texas. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, I think he's going to have like a Pete Carroll renaissance. Word of the day. Maybe we need another.
Pete Carroll could do a renaissance right now.
I think we need another word of the day.
Would you say I have a plethora of piñatas?
I think we do have a plethora of piñatas. Because we're going to close it out right there. This is Tim and Don from NFL Talk from across the pond and back. Wishing everyone a safe day, a fun day, and let's get this NFL season over. Let's get to the freaking playoffs. Good night, everyone. Goodbye, everyone. Talk to you next week.